Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a TV review and I'll be having a look at the pilot episode of the new 2013 Dracula. So this stars Jonathan Rhys Meyers as Dracula, and we start off with kind of a prologue seeing someone sort of break into what is going to be Dracula's crypt and basically reawaken him from his sleep after he's been sort of impaled and obviously killed at some point in the past. Then cut to England, where basically he's kind of ultimately posing as a kind of rich American industrialist, and basically the crux of the story here is he's kind of assuming this this kind of like industrialist kind of persona ultimately to try and get revenge on this what's called Order of the Dragon, which is basically a kind of a collection of sort of the wealthy and privileged that have kind of gone back sort of centuries ultimately, and were ultimately responsible for killing his wife, who looks a spitting image of course of Mina, who we'll see here. And it's really a kind of a reimagining of the kind of the Dracula tale. So he's actually kind of set up to be a kind of almost an anti-hero almost in this particular show. Now it's a very slow burn, this kind of pilot episode, and I get the impression that's what it's going to be for the kind of the entire series here. Really, the first episode is more or less just set up sort of introducing you to all the sort of the key players. There are, as I say, you know, a variety of changes to the kind of the Dracula sort of mythos. Basically, he's kind of set up shop in you know, in England somewhere, and he's got his sort of Renfield. Although Renfield here is not a kind of mad person, he's a perfectly sort of eloquent assistant ultimately, and you know, he obviously sort of sees Mina, who's kind of got her friend Lucy, of course, played by the girl who used to be in Merlin. And the kind of status quo is a little bit different, as I say. I mean, the kind of, I guess the show is kind of positioning this Order of the Dragon, who are, as I say, this kind of collection of privileged, wealthy business types, to be almost the kind of bad guys, and Dracula is kind of ultimately there to get revenge, even though he does actually still sort of kill people and ultimately drink their blood. It's kind of positioning to be a kind of almost a bit more of a heroic sort of type. Of course, you've got basically vampire hunters, kind of almost like a team of sort of vampire hunters. And it's in one quite amusing reference, they actually basically tell you that Jack the Ripper was ultimately a vampire, and they had to sort of cover that up to make it look like murders, which I thought was quite a nice touch. It's okay. It's a very lavish production. It looks, you know, it looks very good. It's a strange kind of, they kind of changed the tone a little bit, and it's the first 3/4 of this pilot episode almost is a bit like a supernatural version of Downton Abbey ultimately. There's a kind of like almost Matrix style action towards the end, which was interesting. So it kind of felt a little bit out of place, I have to say. Now, some people, purists, aren't going to like some of these changes, and I get the impression there's going to be more and more as this sort of series goes on to what the Dracula sort of legend obviously is. But it's kind of nice to see a different take on it, because how many times, you know, has there been Draculas, and how many times they have been kind of different, to be honest. So I can't really criticise it too much for trying to do something new with the actual title. As for Jonathan Rhys Meyers as Dracula, he does a decent job. I have to say, he looks a little bit of a pretty boy. I think, to be quite honest, I mean, that's obviously the decision that they wanted to go with. I personally think there probably would have been better people to cast, but he did a pretty decent job. I can't really complain. And obviously he's done, you know, he got much acclaim in the Tudors, for example. So that's obviously kind of what they're trying to sort of, you know, tap into ultimately. The rest of the cast, you know, it's all very kind of high society and hoity-toity. I think it's for people who are going to want maybe something a little bit more faster paced and kind of a little bit more of an instant payoff. They may find it a little bit dull and boring, I have to say. But if you kind of wanted a bit more, it's a very kind of obviously overly romantic themes on this one. And I get the impression there's going to be lots of kind of juicy scenes, shall we say. But so it kind of obviously is maybe sort of trying to pick up that, as well as kind of going for this kind of period sort of piece. It's kind of maybe trying to get like lines onto that kind of the young adult who watches kind of like the Twilight and Vampire Diaries and things like that. But it's a lot more, as I say, slow pacing kind of maybe those type of films and TV shows. But overall, it was, you know, it's an interesting pilot. I have to say, look, as I say, it looks very good. I like the aesthetics of it. You know, I'll probably be checking out the next episode. So I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. Fairly decent. What did you think of it? Leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.